Over the weekend, the newest and maybe the most impressive museum in Washington, D.C. opened to the public. You can now visit the new Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Vic Carter has an inside look at some of the moving exhibits.
It is a simple display, a glass case covering a large stone. In any other setting, you would not give this piece of granite a second look. But this is no ordinary stone. It is in fact a block, an auction block. And if it could talk, it would tell stories of men and women, boys and girls and babies, sold to the highest bidder. This emotional display is just one of thousands that fill the National Museum of African American History and Culture. There is Thomas Jefferson, standing in front of bricks, each bearing the names of slaves he owned. Shackles worn by slaves, a whip used to discipline slaves or to make them work harder in the cotton fields, the crop on which much of the South was built. But then there is that rock. 12-year-old Nafisa Weeks and Princess Courtney saw it and were moved.
What's the one thing that you have seen here that maybe upsets you the most?
That picture right there.
And it's of what?
It's of a white man auctioning off a black baby, and the mother is trying to take her baby back.
Does it hurt you to see something like this?
Yes, like little babies just getting sold from their parents when they don't even know anything.
But this museum is about more than the dark, deadly, and dangerous times in African American history. It also celebrates the amazing accomplishments that were made in spite of the odds. Medicine and education, sports and arts, commanding the air, and winning the White House.
While America should ponder the pain of slavery and segregation, it also had to find the joy, the hope, the resiliency, the spirituality that was endemic in this community. We discovered that the African American experience is the quintessential American experience.
The artifacts came from across America. More than 40,000 people had things to show and to share and to donate to this museum. Only a fraction is on display right now. Many more stories are locked in the Smithsonian vaults, awaiting a chance to be seen and their stories told.
Seeing a visual artifact, seeing slave shackles, seeing the actual slave cabin that we have here, it makes the history more real, the history comes alive for you, and it is actually for many people a very emotional experience.တဲ့
And that it is. No matter where I went in this museum, I could not forget that rock, that stone, and the people who stood on it.
Vic joins us now from Washington, D.C. Hey, Vic.
Hi, Lynn, how are you?
Great. Can I just say the museum, it looks so beautiful behind you.
It is. It's fantastic. As you saw in the piece that ran just a moment ago, there are a lot of things to see here, a lot of things to do. A lot of it is very much interactive. And I think for anyone who comes here, they're going to have a personal experience and be able to relate in one way or another to something that is inside this building. The interesting thing is that there are more than 40,000 objects here in here right now, and there are many, many more that are in storage that are yet to come out and their stories to be told.
Anything in specific that stood out to you as you went through the museum?
I think there are many things that spoke to me. I mean, certainly being a child who grew up in the 60s and 70s and having experienced the civil rights movement myself, there were so many things there that resonated to me personally, things that I saw, and I learned a lot more that I didn't know during that time period. I think in the story, I think one of the first things that really stood out to me was that big stone that was used as a slave block, and it really kind of touched me because that stone represented many, 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 many lives that were just sold to the highest bidder. So that spoke to me, and of course there were things that came all the way up to contemporary times, the March on Washington, the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., some of that is captured here, and of course right through to the election of President Barack Obama. So it encompasses a long time, a period of history, and a lot of things that were certainly meaningful to a number of people.
And it's so important to have this now right on the mall and so close to us here in Baltimore, just a quick, car ride or train ride away.
Absolutely. You know, we take Washington for granted. I think there's so much here to see and to do. I mean, every time I come here, I see something new, things I have not seen before. Now, if you're planning to come here to this museum, be prepared to wait a while. Tickets, I think, are pretty much sold out or have been issued out already, especially for the weekends. You stand a better chance in, say, a month or two to be able to come here during the middle of the week and to be able to have more time and more space in which to enjoy and experience this museum. But be prepared for long waits. It's a very popular site. Of course, hundreds of thousands of people were here for the opening, and we can certainly expect to see many, many more as the years come, coming here to visit this museum.
Well, Vic, thanks for joining us from D.C., and thank you for the sneak peek and the preview from inside the museum. It's just so stunning.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back after this with some news, traffic, and weather. It's WJZ.